Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the ABA Coffee in the Park. My name is Cam Milliken, and I am here with my co-host extraordinaire, Jennifer Herrick, the Executive Director of the Atchison Business Association. Hello, Jennifer.
Hello, Cam, on this beautiful sunny morning here in
it's
beautiful
awesome
downtown
out there.
Atchison.
You know what? It's a great day. You know, I don't care. So for wherever you're listening, this will drop at some point. And yesterday in Canada was a big day. We had election.
We had our federal election.
That's right. We were voting on our prime minister.
Yes.
And I'm not going to say who won or didn't win or anything like that. Some people are all and others are like, oh, this is great. And you know what? I'm just glad it's over. Can I just say that?
I'll also say
I'm really glad it's over. Now we can get on with life again.
We can.
Yeah. And I want to let everybody know that we are coming to you live from the Wall Coffee Roasters in the heart of beautiful downtown Atchison. That's right. So if you hear some machines whirring in the background, people talking, kids screaming, there are kids here today.
Yes, there are today.
Hey, it's because we're live in a coffee shop, in the Wall Coffee Roaster coffee shop.
That's right.
It's awesome.
It is.
If you've never been to the Wall Coffee Roaster, no matter where you're listening to us, you should fly here and come to the Wall Coffee Roaster because it's great coffee. It's
Sure.
awesome.
Hop on a flight.
That's right. Jennifer, anything you need to tell us?
We want to thank our gold corporate sponsors, which include the MyShack Group of Companies, Genix, Parkland County, and Bow Valley Credit Union.
That's right. Without them, we would not be able to do what we do. So thank you guys, and girls too, for everything you do for us. We really appreciate it. It's awesome.
It is.
Yeah. Well, should we get into it?
I am so excited.
Oh, me too.
For our guest
I am
today,
very
Cam.
excited. This
You know
is
what? I
great.
was trying to count back on how long I've known this particular individual on our podcast today. And it has to be well over 20 years.
20 years.
Yes.
So you knew her when you were like 14.
That's right. Thanks
Unbelievable. When you were both like 14. Incredible. That's a long time.
It is.
Yeah.
So our guest today is Christy Morin, who's the Director of Arts on the Avenue. So welcome, Christy.
Christy,
Good morning,
good
you
to
guys.
have you here.
It's great to be here, and the coffee is fantastic.
It's good, isn't it? Yeah.
It's great coffee.
It's all roasted right here, right in that room, right over there. That's where they
Amazing.
make it.
Yep.
It's pretty incredible. Yeah.
So let's kick it off.
Yeah.
Christy, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where were you born? Where did you grow up?
Well, I am a definite Edmonton story. Born at the Misericordia Hospital.
The misery. The Miz. Yeah.
Full of mercy.
Full of mercy. And grace.
And
Yeah,
grace.
that's right.
And grew up in Edmonton. Left Edmonton just for a couple of years to Calgary and came back.
Saw
and
the light.
Saw the
Came back,
light. I was
yeah.
like, okay.
So what high school did you go to?
Well, that's an interesting question. So I went to J. Percy Page, which was the first
Come on.
South Edmonton, high school, which was like the cool-looking school.
Yeah.
And then my drama teacher had sort of lassoed a whole group of us because Victoria School of the Arts, which was Vic Comp back then.
Vic Comp.
Yeah, became
Come
a school
on.
of arts. And so she said, hey, guys, all of us drama nerds, let's get down there. So we'd all carpool in grade 12.
Oh, my goodness.
And walk the halls of Vic Comp.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the beginning of high school stuff. Yeah.
Well, the only reason this is intriguing me is because I went to Ross Shep.
Oh, did you? You're
and
a
my
Shep
drama
boy.
teacher
Is
was
who?
Mrs. Whalen.
Oh, I don't know Mrs.
Well,
Whalen.
I bet you do, actually. Her husband was Ed Whalen, who was the
Oh,
announcer for
yes,
Stampede
yes.
Wrestling.
Oh, isn't that cool?
What a
My
pair.
grandpa
I'm
listened to
telling
that
you, he
every
was like
Saturday
a-
morning.
And she was like, Shakespeare, this will be a lot to me.
right.
And so anyway,
Exactly.
yeah. And so there was always
That's
this
so cool.
competition at Ross Shep
Yes.
with other drama departments.
Right,
So
right.
I get it, yeah.
So that's
Wow.
where it that's everything happened.
What
Magic
was
happened.
what was the Vic Comp mascot?
Oh man, we were the Redskins. So that sort of ages me a bit, doesn't it? I don't think that changed. But I think a few years
Listen,
ago.
people,
Don't send emails. Don't.
This was another day.
This
in
was
time.
just what
Many decades ago.
She had
Many
no part in
decades.
naming them. It
No,
was
no, it's not her
don't
fault.
start
No,
that.
no.
Okay, yeah.
No.
Okay, well, we
No.
were the Thunderbirds.
Oh,
Yeah,
were you?
So, yeah.
Okay,
so,
so
anyway,
fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you went to Ross Shep. All right, good.
I went to Vic. You
Or
went
Vic,
to,
yeah,
you
I
went to Shep.
Shep.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't really go skip the. Anyway,
Right,
that's a whole
right,
other
right,
story.
yeah.
So yeah.
So you graduated,
Mm-hmm.
and then, so did you go to Calgary right after graduation, or what was the in between?
Actually, what happened was I was working for Canadian Airlines because my degree was French and drama at the University of Alberta, and so
Okay.
then I got a job down in Calgary working as a manager of customer relations. So they said there's 10 of us, and so it was like, oh, you're going to deal with commendations and issues. Well, it was 99% issues.
Yes. That's so what customer relations is. Yeah.
So if you had trouble with res, if you had trouble with whatever, and couldn't get where you needed to go, Kevin Jenkins, who was president at the time, he was amazing, and he was like, let's look after these customers. And so I was one of his folks that looked after the customers.
Cool.
Canadian Airlines, folks.
That's,
Did you fly?
You know what? That
Canadian
right
Airlines?
there, that's like a flash from the past.
It
right?
is,
Canadian
isn't it?
Airlines.
It is.
Yeah, it really
Ward
is.
Air, Canadian.
Ward Air.
Yes, Ward Air.
I'll tell you a story about Ward Air, just
Yes.
real quickly. My wife, we lived here at the time before we moved to Vancouver. My wife applied to be in those days they called them stewardesses with Ward Air.
Right.
And she got accepted.
Wow.
And she got accepted, and then a week later, before they were going to fly her to wherever to become one of them, Canadian Airlines bought Ward Air and fired her before she even started.
That's a sad story.
That's
a sad
whatever.
story.
You know what? Now we moved to
I still have
Vancouver.
I still have the T-shirts.
Do you?
Still have the T-shirts. I won't part with them.
Yeah. So that's my
Vintage
Max
right
Max
there.
Ward Canadian
That's
Airlines
your story
right there. Yeah.
So then from that, that's actually they were getting things weren't going very well.
Yes,
Canadian.
no,
they
were
So I got a
struggling,
package and then moved back to Edmonton and went into real estate. My dad was a realtor, and he's like, Christy, why don't you get into real estate with me? So I did.
Cool.
Loved it. But then as time went on, sort of went, you know what? I don't know if these evenings are great for my lifestyle stuff. And I was very involved in the community. And so we switched up on that, and I became an artist in residence teaching drama in schools.
Come on.
Yeah, so I did K-6 curriculum in Francophone and French immersion schools.
Right.
And that was a blast.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Awesome.
Physical theater, drama with these kids. Just seeing, it's so interesting how kids just didn't know how to play, and things are getting increasingly tricky to get them into imagination and play.
I agree. Yeah. Kids got to play.
Yes.
They got to play.
Yes.
You got to use your imagination. You got to be creative.
You know, arts programs, I think, are just so critical to schools.
And it
really
bugs
are.
me when that's the budget cuts, they're the first to go.
100%. And people
really
don't realize what it actually
realize.
does.
Yeah.
Right? What we need.
I mean, math is good, I guess. I didn't really, hasn't really helped me a whole lot.
Right.
But you know what? We got to get back to music, arts, theater for kids.
And they all work together. Science, all of it works together, right?
Cool.
That's the beauty of it. Yeah, so that's a little bit about me.
Okay.
You guys, you definitely go and
Well, okay, so you were doing real estate.
Yeah.
Had you met your husband, Darcy, at the time?
When I was doing real estate, Darce and I were singing in a church choir. And he was a guy that, this is crazy, in high school at Percy Page.
Yeah.
There was a group that me and my whole group of friends started, IVCF, and so we decided that we were going to get the Edmonton Eskimos at the time to come out, and we were going to play against them, and so that was all really cool. And so Darce was a jock, I was a drama nerd, and I thought I'm going to invite him to this volleyball game because it'd be great to have some jockey kind of guys playing with us. So I made an attempt. It was an attempt, and he always laughs because the Galleria, for those that know Percy Page, is like the place that people meet up, and stuff. So I was watching for him when he got out of one class, and I beelined. So I'd meet him at the top of the stairs of the Galleria, and I said, "Hey, are you Darcy Morin?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I asked him about what school he went to, and he was like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Hey, you might want to come out to this cool thing." And he looked at me and said, "Hold on a second." And he turned around and talked to his little buddy. Came back and said, "No thanks, Mr. Christie." Okay, so first of all, that was the worst name to call, and I married him. This is the craziness. So after that, I went back to the group and I'm like, okay, off the list. These Morin guys,
cross them off.
We're never going to talk to them again. I go to Calgary, do my stuff, get my degree. I'm in a church choir,
out of sight, out of mind.
and all of a sudden I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the tenor section, and I'm like, this guy in a bandana and wearing bike shorts.
Bike shorts.
And I'm like, that guy's a really great tenor voice. And then I thought, I think that's the guy that called me Mr. Christie.
Yeah.
And it was. So, I thought distance is a good thing. I wasn't going to talk to him. But then maybe about 3 months into choir, he came up and asked what I was doing after choir. Well, of course, me and my girlfriends always would go to Cheesecake Cafe on 51st Avenue.
Cheesecake Cafe.
Right? Those monster cheesecakes we share.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, okay, which girl is he trying to, like, get in on the interest section? So I was like, well, let me talk to my friends. So I came and said, because I thought, maybe there's this one that he liked because she was quite sweet on him.
Right.
And they said, well, okay, he can come. Okay. So we said, yeah, you're welcome to join us. Yeah. And he brought a couple of his buddies, so we're like, oh, now this is no longer our friend girls connection. Yeah. Now this is like getting bigger.
Yeah.
So after 3 times of the same thing, every week, what are you doing after choir? And I'm like, oh my goodness, this guy, like, already asked the person out. Ask the person out that you're going to ask. Like, let's get moving on here.
Yeah.
And no, he just kept on coming. And so then finally the 3rd time, I said, okay, yeah, you can come. And he said, well, I just don't think you're quite understanding. I'm asking what you're doing after choir. Well,
okay.
That was
Things changed now. All right. He had a change of heart.
Yeah, well,
change of mind.
He all of a sudden, and he did not know I was Mr. Christie until after our first date.
Oh, so he didn't recognize
you.
Recognize you.
Come
on.
He did not recognize. This is an even better story.
He did not recognize me.
And how did that that must have been a great conversation.
It was
Did you like just
crazy.
slam him?
After the first date, we went out, and it was a really nice time and everything. And then I was getting dropped off, and I said to him, "Do you know who I am?" And he's like, "Yeah, I know who you are." And I said, I am like Mr. Christie that you met in high school. Yeah. And he felt so bad, you guys.
Say, how many shades of red? How many, wow.
And away we went.
We continued dating. I love it. What a story.
Great story. I love that story. Yes. And now you're married, obviously.
And now we're married. Yeah, we're married.
Wow.
We're married now.
Does he ever call you, like, when you guys fight, does he look at you and call you Mr. Christie?
I hope he will not start. That would be like the worst. That would be the death nail. That would be the death nail, man. Oh, yeah.
I hear you. Okay.
Yeah, no.
Well, that's pretty cool. All right.
So that's how we met.
That's how you met. That's a great story, Christy.
And how many children?
Oh, so 2 children.
2 children.
Yeah, Allison is a teacher, and Zachary runs a men's clothing store.
Okay.
Downtown Edmonton.
Yeah,
and
right
Allie's teaching French and music.
Yeah, and you told us something really incredible, that you just had your first grandbaby.
We did. Yeah. Allie and Joel, they just had our first little grandson.
Yeah.
So he is 6 months now. Oh, he's
the best.
The best.
It's
we could probably spend the rest of the podcast talking about Ollie.
Honestly, Ollie's the best.
Yeah.
He is such a happy little guy. Wow. Oh, yeah. And now he's starting foods. So, we're moving on for, nursing and moving on.
Yeah. Solids.
And he can't wait. He can't wait. Yeah. Because, we were sitting at the table the other day, and I sort of because he wanted my sandwich so bad.
Yeah.
So I let him sort of munch on it, of course. And he couldn't wait. Yeah. And I said to Allie, come on. I know. It's like 6 days before he's 6 months.
I know.
But, she's.
Can you remember those days? Well, I don't remember those days.
I barely do.
Those little kids, they just want to
he couldn't wait. Yeah. So
awesome.
This is exciting. Yeah. So Ollie's part of our lives now, too. Yeah.
Awesome.
So awesome. So, Christy, tell us a little bit about, so you and Darcy got married.
Yeah.
Now, this is where you and I eventually met. Did you move into the 118th Avenue right away after you got married?
We did. So it was interesting. So before we got married, my dad, of course, being a realtor, Remaxer, which is you definitely have to own. You're not going to rent. That would be almost, it's like sacrilege. So he's like, where are you going to buy? And so I was like, I don't know, Dad. And Darcy was a little gun shy about purchasing. Sure. So we started looking either a condo on the south side, which is where I grew up, was a south side girl, or north side. We could buy a house. And so we started looking, and I'm quite a nostalgia. I'm getting to realize more and more how much tradition means to me.
Yeah.
So when Dad's family moved from the farm, which is out by the Andrew Mundare area, into the city, they moved into the Eastwood area.
Okay.
And so I'd always hear about that as a little kid. And so then I was like, so when we were looking, we could get a house with a basement suite. I think it was $82,000, you guys, back then.
I know,
So we were like, well, let's do it. We didn't know, though, Jen, all the social implications.
Right.
We knew that it was tough. We knew it was going to be, but then I was like, you know what? We ripped up the carpet floor in the living room and we're like, look at this beautiful maple, gold maple, gold, whatever, what's it called? Maple something floor, like that, whatever, the little narrow strips. And we were like, we can sell this house, you know, in 2 years, we'll keep it, we'll flip it, we'll move back to the south side.
Right. Yeah.
And that was sort of the plan. But things changed. Yeah. And now 31 years
Still there,
in the same house.
And for people who don't know Edmonton that well, this is important because there's a lot of history in the area where you live. Yeah. I do know this for a fact that right after the war, that area was built hugely for people returning 100%. From the war. The houses were a little bit smaller, but that was an area
and
where...
it's central Edmonton, so it's right...
Yeah, at that time it would have been considered... Well, at that time it would have been considered a little bit of North Edmonton, I guess.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, it then became central Edmonton and a very unique neighborhood. Very unique, 118th. Yeah. Very unique neighborhood.
It really was. I mean, back from what I do the reading and what I hear from Dad, and, you know, it was a burgeoning place to be, right? Everyone had the big gardens. It was very culturally based.
Yes.
So lots of Ukrainians moved in, lots of Poles moved in. Then Portuguese moved in, Italians moved in, right? So it was very much a landing place, like you're talking. Like after the war, people coming back, they needing to have housing. A lot of the housing, I mean, was out of the catalog, right? The Eden's catalog, which is, you know, pretty cool to see that history still in this community. So it was some beautiful old historic housing.
Yeah, it really was a great. My mom, who lived in the city all her life, talked a lot about that area. Had a lot of friends in that area.
Very cool.
And they lived on the south side, but she would often take the bus and be over there. Yeah. And so when we used to take her down to Stanwicky's for dinner, Uncle Ed's there, and she would tell me as we drove down 118th, this used to be here, and this used to be here, and this used to be here. Fascinating.
Yeah,
fascinating.
It really is. There's so much, and those stories, right? Somehow we need to keep those stories because they are amazing.
That's right.
Amazing.
But then things started to change in the neighborhood.
Things changed. So the Yellowhead, when the Yellowhead was built, it was a huge success for Edmonton, but it wasn't for this community because the east-west corridor all of a sudden wasn't 118 Avenue that ran across the whole entire city. I mean, it's still there, of course. Yeah. But a lot of those businesses were like, okay, we don't have the same traffic now. We have the Yellowhead running east-west. Yeah. So they were a lot of shadows. A lot of little shop owners decided, let's pick up and move. Yeah. And then the neighborhood became really renowned for crime and grime.
Right.
And so
Tell us about that.
Yeah. So when we moved in, it's funny because I grew up in Edmonton, but I didn't know the extent. Yeah. It was like you were in a different world. Yeah. Like we went for our gingham blanket picnic after we got married, you know, because we got married in July, we got married in October, he moved into the house in July, and so we were trying to furnish it and everything, and so we went for a picnic to Eastwood Park, and as we sat down, it was brutal. I mean, there's a gal being chased by a guy with a 2x4. We see some incredibly people in need shooting up under the spruce trees, and I was like, did we make the right choice? Do we just need to flip and move? Yeah. That was the question that we sort of wondered at that time. But then we were like, you know what? We're sort of young professionals. Darcy just finished his NATE stuff. He's a welder, pipe fitter guy. So it was sort of like, you know, let's just stick around and see if this works. Yeah. But man, the issues, I think there were at least 3 girls on every corner if you ran from Northlands to NATE. Yeah. So it was real. The pain was real. Nothing was in closets, everything was exposed.
Yes. Yeah. It became, again, a neighborhood, I think, personally, a forgotten neighborhood in terms of the city and that sort of thing. It was just, they let it slide. They just really did.
I think we had many talks, and Jennifer was part of them. I mean, is this the city's sort of refuse? Yeah. Is this where things go? Is this where things get dumped off? Yeah. And these are people.
And the funny thing, not funny, but the interesting thing about that is a lot of people always just think of the downtown core. Right. As being the 100%. Sort of the hub, the central, for a lot of that sort of the crime, the drugs, all of that kind of thing. Not always. Not necessarily. And 118th sort of was like
You
that.
know, it's interesting because that's sort of an ongoing tension, right? When we talk to city council.
Yes.
Because when they talk about the core, they talk about Jasper, right?
Exactly.
But crime doesn't stop.
No.
At that.
That's why I say
trajectory.
it's forgotten.
Nope.
Exactly.
They just, and sometimes I think it's sort of out of sight, out of mind.
You're right.
Which I think is not a good attitude.
No,
to
it
have,
isn't.
Obviously.
It was, and you know, even during the pandemic, craziness between drug lords. There was 210 fires in residence that happened in that community.
210.
And you would think that would have been a flag that went up the pole. Until community got in front of global, which we were a little bit afraid to do because at that time these drug lords were alive. Now one of them's passed on. But it was like, okay, my face is going to be on camera now. Like, I'm going to be the one that people are going to see. Like, do we take that risk? But then, honestly, people were coming to the Carrot, which is our community arts little coffee house, very, community-driven little spot, and were afraid. They thought, like, their kids weren't sleeping at night. They thought, are these firecrackers? No, it's a house going up in flames, And so people that are, welders is what's going to be next, right? And is it going to be catastrophic? I mean, so it was. So this community has always struggled since that whole transition.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're living in the midst of this.
Yes.
You're raising your family in the midst of this.
Isn't that crazy?
And what I mean, obviously you said I can't leave. I want to make a difference. Start that journey for us.
Yeah, so Doris and I, so I was working as an artist in residence. Doris was working, I think he was working at PCL at the time and going out to Nisku. And we had 2 little ones and we kept thinking, okay, this is okay, but we'll move. But there was this group of folks that were connecting and moving into the neighborhood, and it was not even a plan. There wasn't a plan, but good people were moving in. And I say good people in that people that can carry capacity, people that are carrying jobs, that are having lives that are somewhat balanced, right? And so I see this, and then the city of Edmonton, through Stephen Mandel's leadership, had said, let's do a revitalization. And it was actually sort of crazy. It's 27 blocks.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Again, for those who aren't familiar with Edmonton, 118th literally runs from one end of the city to the other.
It does.
Well, not
one
now,
no,
but at that time, it was one end of the city to the other.
So 27 blocks from the Yellowhead on the north side all the way up to 112. So we neighbored with Macaulay, Little Italy on the other. And it was like, let's start a revitalization.
Right.
So I wasn't political, you guys, at all. My dad would tell me how to vote. I'd go vote. Like, honestly, this election would have been like, Dad, who do I vote for? Okay, I'll go vote, and use your democratic voice. Okay. So I would do it. But then it was such a city initiative. My next door neighbor at the time was like, Christy, you should come out to these meetings, like, because they're actually really one to hear community.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I'll go. So I went to one. And it was a lot of discussion, and it was like 5 different pillars, like zoning, blah, 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 beautification, all these things. Yeah. And then it was like, okay, like I thought, you know what? The arts is really missing in here.
Yeah.
Like, there was a lot of great stuff, but where's the soul, right? Yeah. And so you change your zoning, so you change this, you change that, but where are the people going to where are the people going to connect? Where are the stories going to happen? Yeah. And so then a friend, Anita Lenny, she was an actress in the neighborhood. There was tons of artists that were moving in because, of course, it was affordable housing. Sure. Funny enough, right? It's old stock. People could buy a house for $28,000, $38,000, and the artists decided to move in, and it was pretty cool. Nothing that I did. Right. But it was just really wonderful how people were coming together. And then we started meeting in each other's houses. And it was really cool. We just started having coffees.
So very organic.
Very organic.
Very grassroots.
Yeah, very.
Right? Yeah.
It was. And then like the guy that owned the Avenue Theater at the time, it was still a cinema. Yeah. And, he was like, well, let me get in on this, and so let's talk. And so we'd all sort of start talking, and the artists, I mean, they're visionaries. We're visionaries. We see things in multicolors, and our glasses are way different. And I think that's a blessing and a curse, honestly.
No, I agree. Sometimes I think we should have more politicians who are creative types.
Right?
But not all of them. We
need that balance.
We need the balance. But because you're right. Creative people no vision.
They see the vision.
They see vision.
in
That's
a
right.
different way.
That's right.
And I would rather have to pull somebody back.
100%.
Oh, we won't go into that. she works with me. She knows. I would rather have to pull somebody back than try and. But that's why I'm
Launch
saying
them,
I think
yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
we need more creative people.
I think so, and I think a lot of creatives did start these
Yeah.
businesses,
Yes.
these,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
the commercial industries, because they were creative. They knew how to
Right.
take something
Yeah.
and make something.
Yeah.
You know, take nothing and
And
make
they saw
something.
the big picture
and they
in many
saw the
respects.
big and little
Yeah.
picture, which is hard to do
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So artists are unique that way. And so as we started hanging, we were like, let's do a festival. You know, we all know festival. We're Festival City.
Yeah.
Like, let's do a festival, and that's where it started. We did a multidisciplined festival, so theater, music, dance, film.
Wow.
And we took over some old spaces, like the
yeah.
old George's Cycle building, this
Oh,
old parking
yeah,
lot,
yeah.
one of the community leagues that was locked down because there used to be gunfights.
Yeah.
It opened up to us, and we were like, let's start.
Wow.
And it was magic. Hey?
It was magic.
Yeah,
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People came, and Captain Tractor, a whole bunch of their
Yes.
members lived in the neighborhood.
Right.
They came, they were the headliner. I mean, it was 20 years
Yeah.
ago.
And how long did this festival run? Like
It was only a day. That was
Okay.
only a
Oh,
day.
one
It was
day.
one
Okay,
day.
one
It was a
day.
one-day
Okay.
festival.
One day
Yeah.
festival, yep.
Okay.
And so that was sort of the spark, right? That we went, okay. And I think for me, it was like, there's something here.
Yeah.
There's something that
but
you don't
it's
find.
grown and morphed.
Oh my goodness!
So
now
to-
we do.
It's
Yeah, it's
huge.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Kaleido is huge.
Kaleido Family Arts Festival
Yes.
is 3 days. It runs in September. It's the last festival of sort of the summer run.
Right.
We see 65,000 people.
Wow.
We shut down the avenue for
Yeah.
5 blocks, and we use that real estate plus parks and grassy spaces and roofs of buildings and balconies of businesses,
Right.
and we just sort of do this overabundant, radical change of arts in the
Yeah,
community.
yeah.
And it
Fantastic.
feels like a little cool village
It
that just
does,
comes
yeah.
alive. And the community is part, right? So it's
Yeah.
not like, let's separate. It's
Right.
like, you know, we had, sad story, but a little boy down the street, Bradley, his dad was in prison. His mom was dealing with abuse
Yeah.
and stuff. And he came to that festival for every day of his life.
Yeah.
He passed away this year. He was 25.
Wow.
But he looked forward
Yeah.
to this festival.
Yeah. Yeah, it's people don't get it.
They
I
don't.
think they really don't. I mean, Jennifer knows my story. I worked for 30 years in Vancouver, a lot of it in the downtown east side. And people don't get it. There is hope. There is the ability to change things, and there's ability to touch people's lives.
Absolutely.
In a very deep way. In a very deep way.
Yeah, and you know, it's not your normal way of
No.
making
No.
connections.
It's not your typical sort of government institutional program.
no.
And that,
Yeah.
in my estimation, most of some do, but most of those don't work.
100%.
This works
This is something special.
because it touches people at their heart and at their soul.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And what I want to say about your community, Christy, is people know their neighbors,
Yeah.
right? It is
Yeah.
true
Yeah.
community, which I think
Yeah.
something
We've
today
lost
we've
that.
lost
Yeah,
that.
we've lost
Yeah.
it.
We really
Yeah.
have.
You know, the laundry lines, you know, we were trying to get everyone back to getting their laundry lines back up because
Yeah, yeah.
everyone has the poles
Oh, yeah.
in their
I
know.
backyard,
Oh,
right? From
yeah,
the
remember
1950s.
those? Hanging the laundry on the thing.
And talking to the person
Oh,
across
I
the
remember
fence.
that as a
and
kid. That was the
right?
best.
I mean, talk about like people getting to know you
Yeah.
intimately. They see
Yes.
every part
I
of your
know.
life out on the laundry
I
line.
know. My aunts would scream at me because we go running through the backyard and grab the clothes off the line. I just
That's
wow.
right.
That was
And you know, and you're right, Jen. It's all about people being neighbors,
Yeah.
Yes.
and almost going back to that old homesteading, the garden.
Oh, absolutely.
You
We've
know?
lost that. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
As throughout, as I was going to say, as we get more modern, but that's a
Yeah.
really dumb way to put it. We've become less relational.
Yeah.
With our neighbors.
Yeah, more robotic.
More robotic. And there's a lot of reasons for that we could discuss
Yeah.
elsewhere. But I mean, it's a sad thing because those community neighborhoods,
Yeah,
they're gold.
they are.
They're
So
gold.
it was. So that's where it started. Was the festival.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then it was everybody still meeting in each other's homes, and
Yeah.
namely my husband was like, okay, we have an 8-9-year-old, like, you know, let's sort of see if we can
Yeah.
get a spot for community to hang, so it's not just in the houses. And so we found an old bakery that was honestly needing a lot of love, that had moved, and they opened a new bakery just down the block, which was a great story. But this little corner was empty. And so we said, let's give it a shot. So we sat in there with just like, your picnic chairs and sort of did a visioning. It was like so non-visioning session. It's like not the sessions that now we go to and lead.
It's the best
like
way to start.
You're sitting with your lawn chair in a old dilapidated corner store and saying, what could we do? What do you want, guys? How are we going to make this happen? And so we had a grant from the city, and I think it was $3,000. We bought an espresso machine. We bought a vacuum. And and 6 months rent. And all the rest was volunteer power.
Fantastic.
It was crazy.
Amazing.
It's crazy.
Tell everybody the name.
Oh, the Carrot Community Arts Coffee House.
The Carrot Community Coffee Arts. And if you have not been there, you have to
You
go.
were telling me you say they make one of the best chai lattes.
Honestly,
it is. I used to come down for a chai all the time.
Okay,
That's right.
we're gonna have to
road
revisit
trip.
and check out.
You guys have to come for a visit.
Yes,
come for a
we
visit.
will.
Yeah.
Well, Christy, 30 minutes
That's
has
it.
flown
That's
by.
crazy,
We
But
have
we're not done. We're not
one
done.
final question. And I know I could sit here and talk to Christy for like
we
hours.
could do another hour or two on
I
this
know.
one for sure.
Christy, what's the best piece of advice you've been given, either personally or professionally, that you carry with you to this day?
So my dad, who just recently passed 3 years ago, I say recent, it was 3 years ago, he'd always say, everyone puts on their pants the same way, one leg at a time.
That's right.
And that helped.
Yeah.
Because you're dealing with city
does.
council,
Yeah.
you're dealing with the
Oh.
Prime Minister's office, you're dealing
Yes.
with people all over the place. And that just grounded me.
Yeah.
And the other thing, that if I was writing a book, you guys, it would be 10,000 coffees. Because to build community, it's all about that coffee.
We say that.
We say that. And I know we're running out of time here. An interesting fact, Michael, who owns the Wall Coffee Roasters, his first house was just off 118th,
isn't
right
that
in your
cool?
community.
Isn't that great?
And I believe, and I know Michael well, and we won't go into it. Michael's been on our podcast, but I believe it was him being there that really helped spur a lot of this right
so
here.
cool.
I agree.
And it's phenomenal.
Oh,
this has been
exciting.
amazing. We literally could go. You know what, Jen? Here's what I think we should do, Jennifer.
I think we should go to the.
I think we should go to
the
I think we
Carrot.
should do
Yes.
A remote.
a
I
podcast
agree.
from
You
there.
should, you guys.
And we should just go down there and do that.
We would love
And
that.
we'll just go down there and we'll just talk.
We'll talk to everybody.
And we'll
That
have
would be
a chai latte.
awesome. That would
You
be
have to have their
great.
chai latte.
Yeah.
Yes.
We would love to host you.
Thank
That'd be great.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you for sharing
been
your
awesome.
vision, your heart, and your work.
Hey,
Awesome.
anytime.
Thanks, Christy.
Take care.
Christy is such a genuine person.
Man, that was amazing, Jennifer. What they're doing is incredible.
She has done so much for, I'll just say, community as a whole.
Yeah, and what a great person. She's
She
just awesome.
is.
Yeah, I loved it. That's great. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Hey, I hope you enjoyed it. Hey, maybe check out.
The Carrot Cafe.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Exactly.
Maybe one day we can do a live remote from there.
I think we should.
That would be really cool. Hey, everybody, check it out. And thanks for listening. And by the way, make sure you tell somebody about our podcast. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your coworkers. If you don't have any friends, make one so you can tell them. You can even tell your enemies. And be sure to
subscribe.
subscribe. That's right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. See
Talk to you
next
soon.
week.
Bye-bye.